Welcome to the Breaking Ice Podcast. My name is Josh Ferguson. Today I've had the wonderful chance to sit down with Drayton. We've actually been planning this for since I started the podcast. I was
for
like,
a while,
Drayton, you should
yeah.
come on the show.
Definitely.
So it's really nice to finally have it happening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So pretty much everyone who watches the show would know you, but introduce yourself in terms of your business, and we'll get talking about your background.
Sure. So my name's Drayton Walker. I'm from Norman Wells. I've been up here for just over 20 years now. 21, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Moved up here. My parents moved up here from Saskatchewan, is where we're from originally.
Okay.
So yeah, I moved up here when I was 9.
Okay.
So I've been up here 29, turned 30 this year. So I've been up here 21-ish years.
Nice.
So the past couple years, I've been running my own business. We started in 2017.
Okay.
Me and my friend.
A couple years, coming up on a decade.
A couple years. It's been kind of two businesses. So
okay.
In 2017, I started my business with my friend Jimmy.
Okay. Yeah.
He worked at the restaurant with me. He just took on the role as manager at the time.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, maybe doing something on the side. And when I was a kid, I would sometimes do people's yards for them and stuff like that.
A kid growing up here.
Yeah. And sometimes you go mow somebody's lawn or go cut some brush or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
I worked on the fire crew, the wildland fire crew for one summer growing up. And that's something we did a lot of, was brush cutting and stuff. I really enjoyed doing that work.
Yeah.
So then we kind of started thinking maybe we'll get a hobby on the go for the weekends or a couple things in the evenings.
Yeah.
And with his manager skills and my hobby that I like
Get
doing
her
that
done
kind of
attitude.
stuff, yeah, we decided we'll do something like that. So it was J&D Ditchers is what we started with.
Yeah.
And it didn't take too long before we started getting quite a bit of work out of it. We had a lot of stuff in town, a lot of people's houses and stuff like that. We were really good with ITI, was great. They got us set up with seed money and stuff like that. We bought some equipment like chainsaws, brush saws, lawnmower, leaf blower, all that kind of stuff.
All good stuff.
Yeah, and then we started doing houses, and then we got in with Enbridge, Northridge.
Okay.
So Pascal helped us get out on the pipeline. We did some cutting with them under Northridge.
Nice.
And that was a really big break. Sue and Travis, they got us set up with doing ski trails in the first year.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool. That hadn't been done in a while, so we cut some of the entrances to that.
My wife skis on those trails all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. She skied 100 days last year.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, they're definitely a good thing to have up here.
Yeah, oh my God.
But it's one of those things got to be maintained, right?
Totally.
And it's a tough one. But there's all those kind of little jobs like that. And it was 2017 that we started. I remember we had 21 invoices that year for the whole year. 21
Sick.
Invoices, a couple $1,000s, maybe under, probably less than 10,000 in the year, right? 2018.
Yeah, but from the previous year
difference.
of no money, that's a big jump
for a paid hobby, right?
Yeah.
Something that just kind of for fun. And
I think that's actually a really important thing to point out, just for because tell me if you identify with this, but a lot of people are really scared to make that jump, and there's a lot of things that you can do that don't require a ton of investment that will get you going.
Well, you did some media coverage when we did that chainsaw course, right?
That's right.
So
Yeah.
a part of that chainsaw course we did this year was actually focusing on starting up a business.
Yes.
And a lot of that incentive, they gave everybody that passed the course, they gave them a chainsaw, a really nice, $1,200 chainsaw with hard hat, chaps, everything, everything you needed to get started.
Yeah.
If you had a bit of ambition, you could go out and start getting wood and stuff like that.
Totally.
And that's kind of one of those paid hobby type jobs where you're going to be putting a bit of time in on the weekends to do something. Maybe you get wood for yourself and you get a little bit extra and you sell it off. And that pays for your time that you spent there.
Totally.
And slowly that turns into a bigger thing.
It could be anything though, waxing, car detailing.
Yeah.
I can imagine there's people that want their car detailed up.
There's a few people that started that in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I've seen at least 3 different people start detailing and stuff like that.
Totally.
And it turns into, you do your parents' car, you do your neighbor's car, and next thing you know, a guy from Esso is like, hey, I need 20 cars done. Oh,
Yeah, it's
sweet.
oh, damn.
That's kind of what happened with us. We were start out, do your place, do your neighbor's place, you do a couple places next door. I call it the neighbor effect. You would do somebody's yard, and then the next day, hey, you guys did a really good job next door. Can you do my place?
Well, and this is the important thing, is actually doing a really good job. because
yes,
I think, and I don't, again, tell me if you feel like this applies, but like you can almost decide that you're going to take something really seriously, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm going to detail cars, but I'm going to do a bang up job. And someone's like, you know what? That was actually worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, for me, that was when it became in 2018. So at the end of 2017, like we had done those 21 invoices that we had for the whole year. 2018, like in the fall and stuff like that, I knew I had work laying over. And come spring of that year, I knew right off the bat we were going to be a big business.
Were you kind of like working in the restaurant in the winter? And then
I still worked full time. So I worked in 2018. I had gotten a few guys, like I worked with Emma, and Emma's boyfriend Matt had come, and he worked at Matco. So he had afternoons off after the flights. So he wanted to do a bit of extra stuff.
Oh yeah, okay.
So he started out as like my first guy working.
Nice.
And it was him, and then Lucas came in after too, who worked at Matco at the time.
Yeah.
So the two of them would take care of a lot of stuff in the afternoons for me, and I would finish work at 8, and I would help clean up, and we would be,
24-hour sun too.
We worked late hours in the early days, and then in the winter time we'd go out for wood. So we'd go out for wood on the weekends, and then the guys would chop wood in the mornings, and then in the evenings we would deliver to people that needed it.
Nice.
So it kind of worked out. Yeah. And then 2018 we had like
the firewood's actually a really nice bridge over the winter.
It is. Yeah. That was all we had at first. But we had like all these other like ESO houses. There's 36 empty ESO houses. Yeah. So Jason from BCI asked us to take care of the lawns and that kind of stuff. So we had, pretty soon our clientele just doubled in size.
That's sick.
And then we had guys like Hugo from the town. Hey, we need all the utilidors done. So we've been doing that since 2018. Yeah. The first couple of years was a lot of work. Now, regular maintenance on it, it gets easier and easier to take care of. Yeah. Right. So we had that kind of like slow build up, but it was in 2018 when I knew this was going to turn into a pretty good thing. Like a lot of people are asking for work. We have a lot of different customers, and you start with people's houses and stuff like that, but then they're like, hey, we need this at my work. Yeah. Then they say, hey,
everyone who works lives in a house, right?
Well, exactly. But not everybody needs work done at their house.
Exactly. Yeah.
Some people don't even have yards here. Some people just have rocks.
Totally.
Or people like out here have huge yards. So these are the guys that need your services more often. Yeah. Right? Or guys that need wood. Sometimes you get a regular customer base for firewood. And like over the years, especially this year with the rising cost of fuel and stuff, I got a lot more customers this year. Yeah. So
and there's a lot of people that need firewood who just it's too hard to go get. Like it's a huge toll.
It is.
Time. It's not a waste of time, but it's a lot of time commitment, and then equipment too. That makes it a lot easier, right? Yeah. You can collect.
See, for us, it's not so bad because we have bigger trucks and we have a crew of guys. So we go out with 4 guys, 2 big trucks. We get all day long, but we can get 10 times what a regular person would get in a day.
Yeah,
right?
Makes sense.
In the same amount of time. Yeah. So for us, it's profitable that way. Yeah. And we're not burning our own wood up. Yeah. So we can sell it all off.
Yeah. How many cords of wood do you think you sold
this year alone? Oh man, like in the fall I started off, Richard Popko, he bought 7 cords of wood off me right in the fall. That was like everything I had outside the shed gone. Yeah. And then the shed was full. I
didn't even know that you had a shed. I just thought whenever I drive by, I thought everything outside was all you had.
It's all hidden. It's all hidden in the back so people don't steal it. But yeah, no, he cleared that out like right in the fall, getting ready for winter, because he normally gets his wood from the river.
Yeah, but there was none.
There's nothing. There's no water, no logs floating, that kind of stuff. So he was kind of worried that he was going to run out, so he wanted to stock up on a bit extra. Yeah. And then right after that, we were getting calls, truckload here and there. I probably have 5 new customers this year who are pretty regular. Like every couple of weeks, we're dropping stuff off.
Oh, yeah.
So to a point where we actually ran out of wood. So we had to wait, and it was lucky. It was like just like end of December, like Winter Road was just opening up. So like early January, we're like, hey, let's get on the road. We found a good spot down by Elliott. Awesome, dry, standing dead wood.
Do you use skidoos and stuff to haul out, or is it mostly just
walk and make a trail?
You guys are hardcore.
We shovel a trail into the forest, cut all the wood. It's just. The skidoo is just another thing you got to bring with you, and it's
but it can haul the wood.
Wow,
you're like, who needs a skidoo when you have 6 guys?
Yeah, we got 4 of us out there. 2 guys drop trees, 2 guys load the truck. By the time you're done,
they're back. Yeah. It works out.
It's not too bad. It is a bit tough, but it's easier than bringing an extra thing with you.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, whenever I plan to go to Oscar Creek or whatnot, it's like, okay, like we need a skidoo, so like, or maybe we'll put it on the trailer and then someone will drive it home, or it's like a whole thing. Yeah. But with less people, you kind of need it.
With less people, definitely. Yeah. Like, and a lot of guys, sometimes they'll camp out. They'll set up a tent or whatever. They'll have a spot where they go to harvest. Yeah. And they'll go out for a whole weekend. They'll cut and haul a bunch of stuff to the road, and they'll haul it into town with the truck. Yeah. And then they just haul their skidoo back. So it's kind of nice to do it that way.
Yeah.
If you were doing it for yourself.
I don't have nearly enough tents or anything to do it that way.
I wouldn't really be bothered to do that. But I mean, if I was going really far away to get it, maybe it would be worth it.
I've got like a summer setup. I got like a quad trailer and a quad, and obviously like it was a little bit more geared towards the winter road, or sorry, not the winter road, the Riverwood. Yeah. But you know, there's actually quite a fair amount of like, you know, dead standing and whatnot. You just got to be selective and get in there. And then my strategy was to get far enough ahead that I could just more or less cut green wood.
Yeah, if I needed that's the goal, really. Like anybody that burns wood, you want to be cutting next year's wood. At least if you can pull it off, you want to be cutting 2 years ahead. Wood. Then you're
that's
really
the dream.
That's the dream. But a realistic goal is cutting next year's wood. And that's kind of what we aim for.
Yeah. Do you you cut mostly spruce?
For the most part, mostly spruce. There's a few people that prefer birch wood from us.
Who doesn't prefer birch?
A lot of people are, I don't know what it is about birch wood that people don't like. I think it's just
so nice.
Everybody thinks it's
dirty,
really like
oily,
and it'll clog up your stovepipe and catch fire. But a lot of people are probably burning it before it's nice and dry. And
both things are true. Like it is more oily, and it does create more creatine. Creosote.
I think
not creatine. That's the other thing.
Creatine's like workout powder.
It's creosote, but you can just clean it off.
Yeah,
like you just brush, as long as you brush your. If you have a really complex chimney, I can imagine, you know, spruce is whatever. But
I think it's because a lot of people that have wood stoves have metal roofs, so they don't go on metal roofs.
Oh yeah,
they don't want to.
It's slippery.
You can clean it from inside and push the broom up, but I don't know. I think people think cleaning the chimney is a lot harder than it actually is.
Well, don't tell them that.
Yeah, that's why I bought a chimney sweep. So occasionally we'll do that for people too.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. Okay, so 2018 it really picked up, got a few bigger clients, and you know, it's obviously switched from JD Ditcher to just Ditchers, and
so over the years, so in 2018, like I was still working at the restaurant.
When did you switch from full-time restaurant to full-time landscaping?
2018, 2019, we were really busy with all that stuff, and the restaurant started to slow down. So we started being closed in the afternoons. So in the afternoons, I could go with the guys and start a big job. We could all cut something, and then they could clean up till the evening time. Then they were done. And then I would go and finish the last of the dump runs or whatever.
Yeah.
I got my blue truck that has the dump body in it in 2019, so that made things a lot more efficient, being able to just run up with a truck, go to the dump, push a button, get rid of all your stuff.
So nice.
That made it awesome. We started the bottle depot, taking over the bottle depot contract at that time, so the guys would work that in the evenings. They would come to the restaurant, grab their food at 8:00, and that was it for the day with us there. Like we started taking on all these things kind of like extra, and the bottle depot was great for winter because it was a bit of steady income over the winter months when we weren't as busy. So we had firewood, bottle depot, and then I got a tractor. So I got
for plowing.
Yeah, I got a skidster off of Dave Hodgson. He had one that he was using around his house. Was previously owned by John Keevy for the bottle depot.
Yeah,
he rented it to Northridge for a year. Then he sold it to Dave. Dave used that at his place. He got a different one. I ended up buying it off of him.
Perfect.
I've had it since then. So right now I've been renting it out and stuff like that too. But that opened a whole new realm of now what we can do snow removal.
Yeah, because shoveling is out of the question.
Shoveling sucks. We do shoveling. We do lots of shoveling. We do tons of different houses that we take care of in businesses and emergency exits and stuff like that. So we do tons of that. but we also do tons of driveways and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was around that time, like going into 2020, like things were starting to get really busy. We started picking up work with the Power Corp, like big brush cutting contracts, like clearing multiple under power days. Lines. Weeks. The big contract we got, the first big one we got in the industrial yard out by the dump. So like, when you first pull into the dump road, out like where Northridge Camp is and out where Pete had his welding and stuff like that.
Where we did the chainsaw course.
Where the chainsaw course was, all that area, that whole power lines, all the power lines in that area, they wanted cut.
They're overgrown.
And it was crazy high in there. Some of them were touching the lines. And
could you even imagine doing that job like from when you started?
Never. I could have never thought that, because we literally started with like cutting backyards and stuff like that.
I think that's so cool. That's the coolest thing is when you kind of launch your own thing and you end up in a place that you go, I could never have imagined doing this.
So I'll tell you, the biggest one of that kind of thing happening to me was the VOR. So we were working, so we got that job for the Power Corp. We finished that. I told them it was going to take, like they wanted a quote for, 20 days. And I gave them the daily rate, all that stuff. We did that job in 14 days.
Nice.
So the guy was already super impressed that we finished early. So he said, well, you still got a few days left of work, so we'll find some extra work for you to do so that we don't have to cut your contract short and you get paid less. It was like, sweet. So we kept working. Perfect. We went around town, and that was when Rob was here. So Rob showed us some spots around town. We did like behind houses. We did all these different spots by the pool, behind like between like the school and the pool, that utilidor area. There was some like really low hanging lines that they need to get at and fix. We cut that area down.
Perfect.
So like
they
were happy. They were impressed by that. And then when we finished up with that was like a really big customer that could vouch for our work. Mm-hmm. And it was not too long after that we took, I think it was actually right after we had took a job with the town for rebuilding the trail system. Mm-hmm. So by the school,
the one around town.
Well, this was like the in-town one. So by the school, so from the school to the Land Corp and the Old Health Center and the police station, there was a wooden boardwalk.
Oh yeah.
And it was only just rotten wood.
I know these boardwalks.
Yeah. So
I have a woodshed made out of those.
There you go. So perfect. That's the deck that goes on my fuel tank is little souvenirs from jobs, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, our job was, it was two jobs. It was replace all the boardwalks and put down gravel and make a proper trail like the rest of the trail. Mm-hmm. And the other job was from GTS on the trail system by the gas station all the way to, it was to Martin Street, but we just went to Town Hall, basically, just the ditches and stuff, clear all the overhanging growth that was on the side of the trail. And it was quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that was also under a power line too. So because we just finished the power line job, we were kind of okay to do that. And it was another big job. It was a contract that we had. So it went really, really good. While we were doing that job, I just remember we were right outside a housing corp, and I seen this rental truck pull up, and I seen these two people walk up to me. And I was like, what are these guys doing? Like, we're saws all over the place. Like, you don't just walk up on somebody like that. And they were asking, hey, are you guys J&D ditchers? And I was like, yes, we are. Like, what's up? What can I help you with? They're like, we're here from NAV Canada. We just went up to your shop. We're trying to get a hold of you. I want a quote. Oh, a quote for what? The VOR.
That's a huge
area. VOR. And I was like, the VOR? Like, you want to cut the VOR? And I had just got a brush cutter for the tractor.
It was already established, right? Was it like a cleaning up the VOR?
No, this was like, it hadn't been done. It was already built.
Okay.
It was just cleaning all the vegetation.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest area in town that you can do. So the guy was like, yeah, we just wanted to get a quote off you for this work, plus another job out at the farthest end of DOT. There's another.
Oh yeah, I know the lot.
Yeah, so just past Esker's place there's the NDB site or whatever it's called. That's a fenced-in area, overgrown.
Yeah.
And in the back part, even more than I thought, there was huge trees, another 20 feet till the fence. So they wanted a quote for both of those jobs. So we did it. And then about a week, maybe about 2 weeks later, this is like end of September. So going into October, you know, I hadn't heard anything. I'm like, oh, whatever, like, you know, not going to hear anything by now. And then I get an email from the guy. Yeah, you're approved for that quote. And I was like, yes, this is the biggest place that we could ever do.
Yeah.
I was so excited to have it. And like, we do the park contract every year, so we're always at the park, and I'm always looking at that field, and I'm just looking at it in my early days thinking, like, one day I want to get that. And then that winter, man, every day driving by, I was like, I can't wait to get over here and do that in the spring. And I knew about it
twice now, eh?
So the VOR, I have it again for this spring coming up.
Okay.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's nice to kind of sit on that over the winter, knowing I've got a big job coming up in you know, the next year. I did the other VOR farther out in DOT. So out past that NDB site, we did that as well.
Oh yeah, with the red light?
Yeah, so there's another tower way out there that I cut this summer.
Yeah.
And that was pretty overgrown too.
Dude, it was super overgrown.
Some of those trees are really taller than the tractor. Like, it was nice. You could just
drive your quad right through them.
Yeah. Yeah, there was actually a guy over there running his dog one day, and then he just came in, and half was cut and the other half wasn't, and you could just see him kind of like looking around like, whoa, when did this happen, you know? A couple days in, right?
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was really cool, because it was like getting into that kind of job is kind of like, I didn't see myself being into mechanical brushing, but I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then being able to have those contracts kind of like made me think, like, this is definitely something I want to do more of. Mm-hmm. I don't want to venture too much past that with equipment, because I
feel like that can run away on you.
I hate competing with other people.
Sure.
I hate trying to take work from other people. I just want to do, to me, that's brushing. So that's more of my top limit. I want to do lots of that wherever I can, hand crew and mechanical cutting as much as we can. But getting into other equipment, I don't have the means to take care of it properly. I don't have a mechanic. I don't have...
Yeah, you need a whole shop and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The shop I have is perfect for the skid steers. I can do my snow removal. Everybody does snow removal. So there's lots of it to go around. So it's not super competitive. You know, we have our customers. Other places have their customers. It works out really well. Yep. And then brushing is all kind of like we all kind of fight a little bit over who does the brushing, but...
Hey,
you know,
competition's healthy. Competition
is definitely healthy. And it's also nice to be able to stand up there with some of the big dogs and say, hey, I can do some big stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's kind of nice.
That's
right?
very cool.
And now this year we had, so last year we had got a contract with the Power Corp. Mm-hmm. It was what's called non-exclusive standing offer agreement. So it's an agreement that's not necessarily a contract. It's set on pricing. And non-exclusive means multiple people can bid on the same job. Okay. So this was territory-wide for the Power Corp. And it was for vegetation removal by hand. So that's what we do. Yeah. So we had bid on this contract, and I had put in 3 different price tiers. One for Norman Wells, one for Sawtooth, and one for outside of Sawtooth. Yeah. You know, other places we'd have travel further and don't know people. Sawtooth, we know lots of people, easier accommodations. And then obviously here, cheaper, no accommodation, stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. So we had done a lot of work the 2022 year that we did a lot of work in town. Mm-hmm. We did, I think it was 21 days we did with a different guy from the Power Corp. Last summer, in May, we went to Forked Hope and Toledo for 8 or 9 days in each place to do the same thing, brushing under the power lines, brushing around the power station, and just doing like a lot of fire smarting and stuff like that. And it was really cool to travel to another town now to do work for this customer. Yeah, branching out. Yeah, and then in the fall this year, we did some fence building helping Waponic do fence building for the Power Corp. Okay. And talking to one of the guys there, he's like, hey, we have a bunch of work in Inuvik and Fort McPherson and all these other places. We might be calling you this summer to come up and do them. It's so, okay. Yeah, I'm ready. You know, it's nice getting a little bit on the bigger side of like the work, that kind of stuff, like traveling to other places, but it's the same customer. And with the Power Corp, it's awesome because it's really important that these lines stay clear because fire hazard. Fire hazard is a big one for sure. or it could knock power out. Like we've had power lines out here in DOT, trees hit them and stuff like that. You're out of power for 6, 7, 8 hours. Got to fly a crew in.
Yeah, there was that one winter where we were out of power for like 10 hours or something.
Yeah, and they had to fly a crew in to come and fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
And it's for the most part preventable, right?
Totally.
If you keep up on your vegetation control and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like there's definitely I see a big future working with them. I hope to do a lot more work. I like that kind of work. It's great cutting down the big trees by the power line stuff.
Perfect.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skilled.
Skilled, yeah.
Yeah, you need to be careful with that. You don't want them to fall the wrong way.
Yeah, you can't you can't just mess around with that one. Yeah. Which is really cool. When we were doing work in Toledo, the guy had like all these fancy tools. He had like this fiberglass extendable stick and stuff like that. You could rope off the trees. He was teaching us a ton of different stuff. And then he had this really cool pruner saws, all electric powered.
Okay.
And he would go up in the bucket truck and he would cut the tops off little things till they were under the line, and then we could knock it down.
Oh, no
if we
problem.
had like a huge tree. So
yeah,
it worked out really well.
Have you have you kind of ventured more into electric tools, or you mostly stick with gas?
You know, living up here, and it's cold all the time.
Yeah. Gas is king.
I am not a fan of electric, but this guy's got me almost sold on buying an electric pruner, because he could not stop talking about how good it runs for him. And like, I get that. Especially when you're up in like a bucket truck and you like ran out of gas and you got calm down. Yeah, you just switch battery. Grab one out of your pocket, put it in.
I feel like it's a different tool.
It is.
Yeah.
But to me, it just I'm not 100% sold on it yet. I don't know
if the battery technology get a little bit better.
Yeah, things are better these days, longer lasting, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm a big fan of the gas powered equipment, definitely.
Especially in the winter.
It's tried and true.
Yeah.
You know it works.
Totally.
And if it doesn't work, you can fix it.
Yes.
Whereas electric one, it doesn't work, something's wrong.
Yeah, but it would be silly to replace all your chainsaws with electric chainsaws.
Yeah, exactly.
But I could see getting maybe a smaller chainsaw that's electric, and you just have one.
And that's kind of what I was thinking too, like getting like an arborist saw, one of those like really tiny little guys like that for cutting in the ditch where you're weird angles and you have like a heavy saw. You just want a little guy, one handed, just do whatever. If it dies, whatever, throw a new battery in, you're good.
Exactly.
It'll last you for a couple jobs and that's fine. And small chain, so it's not as expensive to replace it every time you hit the rocks, whatever. Same with the pruner. You need a good pruner when you're cutting branches and cutting tops off of trees. Electric pruner, the one that guy had from the Power Corp, it was awesome. But they're $4,000 each. So
no wonder it was awesome.
Do I want to buy that? I don't know.
Like, how much are you going to use
it? How much am I going to use that? Whereas the regular equipment we have, a $1,700 brush saw, we use that every day.
It's worth you get your value for sure. For sure. $4,000 specific saw. Maybe if you had a lot of that work coming up, it would make sense.
Exactly. Or renting it too, but
totally.
Renting is another. It can be a good and bad thing too.
Like having a supply of saws that you rent out to people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can see. Like, there is something nice about just being like, we're the only ones that use it. You know what they've been through.
If you have to use the saw again and somebody else used it and they broke it or they put the wrong mixture of gas or something in there and it was a time bomb, basically, by the time it gets back into your hands, you're in a bad situation because you can't really be mad at the person because you did kind of let them use it or whatever.
It's kind of like a part of the deal.
But at the same time, you are mad at the person. You're like,
you can't help it.
You didn't treat my saw very good when you rented it, kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, totally.
Versus if we use it, it's our own fault.
That's the risk of renting, for sure.
It is. Yeah.
That's very cool. I just think that stories of how people have developed their business, because it feels, before you do it, it feels like such a impossible thing to do. And then once you start and you just get a little bit of momentum, then it's like, there's like a skill in looking for opportunities, and recognizing opportunities. And before it's like, there's this thing I heard where it's like, oh, on your way to work today, how many red cars did you see? And you're going, I don't know. Like, it's like, okay, I'll give you $20 for every red car you see tomorrow.
Next thing you know,
I saw 8.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of and I really believe that noticing opportunities is the same thing. It's
See, for me, I find a lot of my good opportunities come from the smaller jobs turn into a bigger job later.
Totally.
Like you do like a random job. We do tons of random jobs all around town, and it could be as simple as taking a load of garbage out for somebody, or picking up a quad and bringing it to their house, or moving a bunch of junk plywood or something like that. Unloading, like next week we're going to unload an order of paper. Okay, that's going to take us half an hour, but you do these little jobs for people like that, and you show up when they want you to, you help them out, and you show that you're reliable. Next thing they know, they got a big job come up, and they say, well, who do I know that's really reliable? These guys always help me all the time. I'm going to give them the first shot at something big. And sometimes you get a big job like that. For example, the school. We do garbage runs for the school once in a while. Sometimes we'll go and shovel the stairs.
Perfect.
Last year, we painted the entire school. That turned into a huge job right when we needed it over Christmas break. It was awesome. And I like to think that's because we put in the time with those small jobs, and they said, hey, you guys are always good to us for these small jobs. We got this big thing. We want you to do it. And perfect. That's why I like to never say no to people. You know, might postpone stuff here and there, but I don't like to say no because I like to help people out. And that's the nice thing about being a business owner is you can do that. You have the choice to choose what jobs you take on. And if you take on as many as you can for as many people that you can help out, it's just awesome.
It's true. Right? It's true. Especially if you can keep up your quality. That's the biggest thing. And I think a lot of times people fall into the trap of taking on too much work and
taking on too much, and the quality starts to drop.
And you really don't want to do that because it affects your credibility.
It does, because then every job people are looking at the last job you did, well, you kind of rushed that one. Now I'm going to think twice about it. Right. And that's where it becomes kind of like an issue of prioritizing jobs, like a triage. Like, can I do a good job at this right now? No, I can't. So I'm either going to have to say, no, I can't do it right now. I don't want to say no altogether, but and we've had this happen all last year. We were so busy with bigger contracts. We had people wanting work done. Sometimes you could sneak it in real quick. Sometimes you knew it was going to be like a 3-day job, and it's like, I don't want to do a bad job for you, so I'm going to have to wait a month till I finish up this other job, and then we'll hit that when we have time to actually commit to it.
It's actually, that's the way more honest way of doing it, rather than like rushing and doing a bad job and be like, I did it, or
we got it done for you, but it's like, I wouldn't feel good about the way we did it.
Totally.
So I would rather wait till we can commit to doing it good. And sometimes that means job for next summer, right? And most people understand that. Like, I find a lot of people up here, they see you working all the time, they see the quality of work you do, they understand why you want to push something back, and they appreciate that you're gonna do a good job when you get time to do it.
And what do you feel like what are your biggest learnings been from running your own business or being a boss? You know, I feel like that's something new that you didn't necessarily expect to be doing.
I mean, I've always liked being a leader. Like, growing up, I was in cadets, and for the longest time, like, you know, going to summer camps all the time in Whitehorse and stuff like that, and staffing events and going, literally rising through the ranks to being the leader of cadets and stuff in town. And like, it was that kind of stuff, those opportunities really set me up in like a good leadership kind of position. And I like to teach. I like to teach people new skills and help people get good at working and stuff like that. And being a business owner, I find that's a good opportunity because I'm often working with youth who are, you know, in high school, just out of high school, or early in college. So these people they're always coming with not a lot of experience in the working world, and where we're working with, in some situations, pretty dangerous stuff like chainsaws. You know, you have an opportunity.
I'm going to trust you.
You got to build that trust over like small job to bigger things, like smaller equipment to bigger equipment, that kind of stuff. But that teaching curve and that leadership, it's like, watch how I do stuff the safe way, how to do it. I'll teach you how to do it the safe way, and I'll make sure you learn it that way. And then people will go on to another job, and in my opinion, they're learning a safe way to work right from the get-go. Whereas a lot of people would be, maybe doing stuff around the house without even knowing the risks that they have put themselves in, like cutting wood at your house for your parents or grandparents or something, not thinking about wearing chaps because you never see it at home.
And cutting on a weird angle or
whatever, exactly.
Cutting around metal.
And just been really lucky for a long time.
Totally.
Whereas when you're working, it's like, okay, you're cutting one log, put on your chaps, put on your helmet, put on your glasses, all that stuff.
Don't take any shortcuts here.
No, because you need to learn that right off the bat. So like I think definitely learning as a business owner over the years, learning how to be a leader in that sense and learning how to be a teacher in that sense has been a good skill that I've developed from that.
Yeah.
And then just learning your networking and stuff like that, how to talk to people, how to set up opportunities for something later, and how to leave doors open.
Yes.
When you're done job with somebody, like how to leave it open in a good way so maybe the next job can come. Yeah. That kind of stuff. Like it's a hard balance for sure. But being part of the community and all your people that you deal with are people it can be kind of tough in some situations at the same time where you got to do this really expensive job for somebody, but you don't want to rip them off because they're your friend or them, and you don't want to like overcharge them. But you get to a point where you're like, there's a certain cost for that is
I can't do
fair.
It for free. Yeah.
Exactly. So trying to convey that message of like, I'm doing this for work, I'm not your friend right now kind of thing.
Yeah.
Without being rude about stuff. That's a skill that definitely takes time to develop. But as you grow into business, I feel like a lot of people get that pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. And what do you feel like is their biggest like area for growth? Like, what do you struggle with in terms of leadership or whatnot? And do you have any like goals for yourself for this year?
It's kind of hard when you're working with people that are your own age or friends. Mm-hmm. And as a boss, it's hard to have that black and white, like you need to do things a certain way because I'm your boss telling you that, but it's also like we're trying to have fun here because we're friends at work.
Yeah.
So sometimes that can be a bit of a balance. And as many young business people who have people working for them the same age, I'm sure that's a huge thing people face.
You must be excited just to go gray, eh? So that
right. Well, that's the thing. The older I get, and most of the time, the people that we hire every year, they're about the same age every year. Guys that are between 20, 25. You're looking for that group of people. You want people that have a bit of experience, who are moldable, that can learn proper ways to do things, safe ways to do things, and looking for summer work. So you're looking for college
with the right
kids.
Attitude.
Exactly.
People who are willing to show up.
Willing to, like, I'll put people through a sort of like a test, right?
Yep.
You're going to clean up sticks and rake leaves for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. And if you're complaining all the time, I know you don't like working. But if you just put your head down and get through it, next thing you know, hey, you're doing brush cutting.
Yeah, but it's not like if you're going to complain about the sticks, I'm not going to let you use a chainsaw.
Well, exactly. Like if you're complaining about every little thing you have to do, I'm going to make you do the harder stuff first, and then you're going to be watching everybody else around and learning how they do stuff. Then you see it. And now you're doing it, and I'm going to do all the cleanup. And then I can sit in the cleanup spot, and I can watch everybody working, make sure that everybody's working safely, right? And that kind of stuff.
I think there's actually something in terms of the cleanup spot because people perceive that as like the lower skilled job. You're doing it as the boss. I think that's a cool piece in terms of like peer leadership and like servant leadership. It's like, oh, he's willing to do the job that he doesn't have to do.
Yeah. See, for me, I don't like to be a boss. I like to be a leader. Yes. I'm on the ground with the guys all the time, as often as I can be. There's certain jobs that I do that the guys don't do, like most of the equipment operations. The guys know a bit of how to use the tractor and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's me doing that kind of work. Not to say that they'll never do it in the future. But as we grow, as everybody gets older and more comfortable in their skills, they're going to take on those things next.
No, that makes
Whereas
sense.
For me as a leader, I like to be on the scene and I like to watch. That's why I like doing the cleanup. It gives the guys time on the saws, gives them the experience with the equipment, and I'm right there. If I see something, if they start doing something wrong, like never locking the chainsaw all the time, or they don't put their chaps on, then they go to grab the saw, hey, put your stuff on. I'm going to stop you right before you do it, whether they realized it, that they were like, oh, I forgot,
like,
I'll run back, or
do it.
yeah, exactly. Or they're trying to be that's the other thing. Like, you'll catch them if they're trying to be cutting corners. Then okay, I got to watch this guy and kind of remind them, hey, you can't be cutting corners all the time because it's safety at risk here. That kind of stuff.
Well, and reputation.
Exactly.
Yeah. That stuff's so big.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, congratulations. I think it's the coolest thing. And I think like it's awesome to have like success stories from ITI in terms of, it's like these programs are here for a reason, and
ITI has helped me literally since literally day one.
Yeah.
It was Nikki when she was still at the SBDC before going to ITI that helped me literally sign the paperwork for my business. And Casey, before he took on manager of parks, he was more of like doing the seed and stuff like that. So they helped me get the business started right off the bat. They helped me get the funding in for the first set of saws that we got and all that stuff. And then as the years go on, we've always had a good working relationship with them. We've been getting grants and stuff like that every year. Last year was the first year we actually never got any grants because
you had enough work.
We kind of didn't need to get anything. We're at a good position now with, we have all the equipment we need, all the vehicles we need, all the, attachments we need, all that kind of stuff. We're doing all the work that we have everything for. We don't need to expand in anything else. We're pretty set. So it's more of just like optimizing our workload now to get the most out of your equipment, right? That kind of stuff. So
for sure.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of not have to have anything.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of like what could I get kind of thing. Like if I could still apply, but thinking about it, it's like not really in the need for anything.
Yeah. There is that initial stage of like kind of setting things up. I went through that too in terms of acquiring cameras and equipment and lights and all that kind of stuff. And then at a certain point you go, great,
I'm pretty set up.
Yeah. Now I can do all the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling to be able to grow into that kind of a thing.
Exactly.
So did you always want to run your own business?
I don't know. It's always I've always liked the idea of business, like doing stuff like that. Like I started work at an early age. Like I started work actually at 11.
Okay.
I worked at Northern.
Okay.
Then they passed a law saying you couldn't start work till 12, so I got fired. Then I went on and I worked at Ramparts, and I worked there for until about 16 years old.
Yeah.
Then I worked at the restaurant.
Yeah.
I had my license, so I could do a lot of like the garbage
like the food
runs
handling and all that. Or?
Yeah, we did. I started as dishwasher and like the garbage guy and move furniture around the apartments. That kind of like you call it the maintenance man, right?
Yep.
That kind of stuff. I was like the assistant to the maintenance man at the time. And after he left, I kind of took over all that stuff after school. That would be my job.
Yep.
And then after that job was done, it was, okay, go do all the dishes. Then you're in the kitchen, you're learning the prep.
You always had a driven kind of mindset.
Always. And
is that from your parents, or where does that come from?
Yeah, definitely from the parents for sure. And like, I don't know, just kind of like when you live up here, everything's expensive. Mm-hmm. You got to work for what you want. Yeah. So like as a kid growing up, you're like, oh, I want to buy an Xbox. I want to buy a game. I want to buy a Skidoo. I want to buy whatever. You got to go and get a job and then work. And I feel like a lot of people are losing that drive nowadays. Like I don't see that in kids as much, but I think it's a bit on the up now. Mm-hmm. It is starting to come back a little bit. But like, I don't know. I just, to me, it just seemed normal, right? You worked, everybody, all my friends, we all had jobs. We all worked different places.
Yeah.
Back in the day when the store was a DVD rental place.
Oh, awesome.
It was awesome. We all worked at different store or the restaurant. So one person would bring home food, one person would bring home movies, one person would bring home pop. And on the weekends, we would watch movies or play games or go skidooing or whatever.
Yeah.
But every day after school, it was like, oh, I'm working till 8. So like, what do you want to do? Oh, I got homework tonight. So maybe maybe tomorrow we'll watch a movie or something, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was working. So then on the weekends, everybody had like one day off. So we all hung out like that. And we were all like little adults in high school. Everybody had school, everybody had a job, everybody had stuff, but we still made time to hang out with each other.
Yeah.
And I think being like all of us having that same kind of like schedule and that kind of stuff, it just seemed more normal to be working like that.
Yeah. Right? I think that's awesome. I think it's cool to have that kind of routine. Yeah. And community, right? You had community within the community.
Exactly.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Driven. blanking here. When I had always felt like I wanted to like run my own business, but it always felt like so like out of reach, or like it always
in the
felt
early days it really seemed like that to me. Like
Yeah,
when I
this is how I
first
felt.
started, but it's funny because I started at 22 is when I started. So I bought a truck that
Yeah.
I got, that old one with the stripe. It's an old mining truck from Yellowknife,
Nice.
actually. And I love the colors of it. That's where I picked the company colors, the blue and orange, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And the old diesel, like I love that truck.
Yeah.
It belonged to my friend's aunt, who shipped it up full of supplies on the barge
Oh, perfect.
to work on her house. I think it cost her like $3,000 to ship it up, and it was going to cost like $6,000 to ship it back. So she just sold it for, I bought it off her for like $3,500 or something.
Perfect.
Super cheap for a big truck like that.
Yeah.
And that was the work truck. It was set up just perfect for a work truck, old mining truck like that. And
this is 2017 when you bought it?
yeah, 2017.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't know, it just kind of worked out really good. But at 22, I couldn't even be on commercial insurance because I wasn't 25. And I thought that was so funny because like I had talked to an insurance place and I got it all company plated and stuff.
And then they figured out that
yeah,
you were
and then
22.
they were like, oh, we just need your license. They're like, you're not old enough. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not old enough? Like I started a business, I did all the paperwork, I filed it with corporate registries, bought the truck, and I'm not old enough? Like, I'm okay, sure. So a couple years later, now I'm on it and stuff like that. It's fine, but it was just so
That's
funny.
so annoying.
Yeah, and I just found like those early days where, I mean, 22, you're still pretty young. Like a lot of people,
for
you're
sure.
still a kid. To me, I'm almost 30, and I look at like my brother, those guys, they're all that age, and they're still kids to me.
Yeah,
but to start
I feel
a
like
business
25
at
is
that,
is a turning point.
yeah, definitely. I would say definitely at that.
Yeah.
You start to be more of an adult.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, just starting a business at that age, a lot of the time people are like, oh yeah, like you got a business, like what is it, like a lemonade stand kind of thing? Like they kind of give you like the gears, right? They're like, you're just a kid, what can you do?
Yeah.
That motivated me a lot.
Nice.
That's what made me want to
You
take
think
on.
I can't do this?
Yeah, exactly. That spite mentality. There was so much, not necessarily out of bad spite, but it was just like
it's a driver.
I'm going to prove you guys that I can do something.
Yeah.
And I did. And that really kept me motivated in those early days, for sure. And then
That's
to
sick.
a point where that motivation turned from, oh, I'm going to prove you that I can do it, to I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I can and make as many people happy and that kind of stuff. Like work as much as I can and accomplish as much as I can.
What's so incredible about it is that you've built this thing, and now like other people get work from it, and like you can employ people and help people grow and serve the community, and it's just
See, that's the other thing, as like as a boss, as a leader, you're kind of like a father figure of your business, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking out for the as best interest as I can for my guys. I want to make sure they have as much work. I want to help them get their goals. So you want to get a new Skidoo, you want to get a new truck. Well, let's find as much work that we can do so you can get paid more and we can all get paid more and we can all get on with our life goals that we want to achieve,
Totally.
right? So you kind of bring that responsibility kind of sets on your shoulders for that. And it's
responsibility's awesome.
it's a good and bad thing, because when all your guys are doing good and everybody's doing good, you feel so proud. But then you start to slow down, like us in the wintertime, and it's just kind of like, now I've got other mouths to feed because I got to make sure my guys are content with their income.
Yeah.
So it can be scary in a sense too.
Well, it's not bad, but it's real.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sets in, it does set in really like that, where you're like, I'm responsible to make sure that everybody stays good and, doesn't go off looking for other things or whatever.
Yeah, because that ultimately serves. Well, it's one thing I realized. It was like I wasn't able to take care of other people the way I wanted to until I started to put myself first.
Yep.
To a certain extent.
Oh yeah.
And
100%.
yeah, but once I did decide to prioritize what was best for me and my nuclear family, then all of a sudden I could be generous in ways that I
see. That's where I found like working in the restaurant before I quit 100%. So it was 2020.
Did COVID make that happen?
Not necessarily. It was more of Ashley being pregnant.
Oh yeah, okay.
So the timing all everything I literally, it's funny, I literally needed 2 more weeks and everything would have been perfect because like she was a bit early, so she had to fly out, and like we were closing on a house, that the one we live in now, we were just about to close on it, but it was under a rental contract for till the end of the month, so it was like 2 weeks after that it was all done, and it was like literally everything came down to like I just needed to be 2 weeks earlier on everything. And yeah, it was funny because like the restaurant was starting to slow down, less hours and stuff, but more work because less people were working there, and so like you're working all the time, just trying to do the same stuff.
Down, there was less staff, so it was busier.
Yeah, at the same time, but less like reason to be there all day. So I was filling all that extra time with my work stuff, and I had guys working for me, and we had the park contracts, and we had like it was turning into late nights. We took on janitorial jobs. We took on to get through the winter. Like some days we would be cleaning offices till like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then working the bar, all that stuff. Like you had some really long days, and it was starting to get to a point where I was like, I have enough going on now that I can leave the restaurant.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like baby's coming, getting a house. I got to put some time into that. So what little free time I have balancing my business and my job, I can make enough money that I don't need to work at the job. Yeah. I can just live off the business and the rest of my time in the family.
Yeah.
And that was the big selling point on why I wanted to quit.
Totally. And you enjoy being a dad?
I love it.
It's the best, eh?
It's my favorite thing. I love it every day. Like, and that's now that the kids are a bit older, because when they were young, I still worked a lot. Like I still work a lot of late nights, that kind of stuff. Because to me, it was like, well, they're babies. I can hang out with them during the day, during the night. It doesn't really make as much of a difference.
Yeah.
But the work we're putting in now to get that money, to get things paid off, all that kind of stuff, buy what we need, get a bit ahead, that was time well spent.
Yeah. Well, whereas sacrificing now, for your family too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now it's every day. It's like get home. It's time to play.
Yeah.
We're running around. We're doing whatever. The kids are into Mario now. They like to play on the Switch, that kind of stuff. And like it's so much more fun to have that extra time every night. Yeah. And the weekends and stuff like that.
And like meal times. Like it's so good to have that routine.
It is.
Yeah. I know. And it's funny because like, 5 o'clock rolls around and I'm like, oh, I got to go home. And it's not that I don't want to go home. It's just I have work to do. But then I get home and it's like I forget about work.
You forget about work. Yeah.
It's the best like switch off.
Yeah.
To be around kids.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, I definitely love it. I'm really looking forward to the summer. Summertime is awesome. Like there's nothing better than,
oh man, wait till you can run a chainsaw.
Oh, that'll be great. They help me stack up wood all the time. Stuff like so that. Good. Right. Like we go to the park. It'll be like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It's like, let's go to the shop, hop in the side by side and drive to the park and go rip around and play on the swings, whatever. It's 9, 10 o'clock at night. Who cares?
Oh, summertime is incredible here.
Midnight sun. Like you can do whatever. And then you get to spend like all evening out doing whatever you want, hanging out, having fun. And then they go to bed and you watch a couple episodes of TV. You go to bed, go to work the next day. And it's just every day. It's just, you just look forward to that. Oh, when I'm done work, I'm going to go hang out with the kids. Hey, we're going to go to the lake. We're going to do whatever, right?
It's so good.
It's just something to look forward to while you're at work. And then when you're...
It's also a good reason to go to work.
Exactly. And then when you're hanging out with the kids, you're just like... You're like, okay, I can't wait to get back to work now because I'm so tired at the same time because there's so much energy. You're like, oh, I just want to not have to talk about everything like this. And then you get excited to go back to work. Then you're at work. You're like, oh, I just want to go hang out with the kids. Like, it's just such a...
The grass is always greener.
Right? Yeah. It's just such a balance like that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know because it's like, I got lots of work to do. I'm making money for the family, that kind of stuff. Yeah. It gives you that good motivation to keep busy and stuff like that too.
It's the best motivation. Mm-hmm. So is the long-term goal to move out to DOT? Like by your shop? Because it looked like you were preparing a pad there.
So I've got a pad there at the shop. Yeah. I bought Tabor's house, that trailer. Oh, yeah. So this spring we're gonna move it over.
Oh, no way! And
put it into that spot, and then I'm gonna build an addition on it. So that is like, I think it's like 14 or 16 by 40 something feet.
Yeah.
So I want to build an addition the same size, make it a double wide trailer.
Oh, beautiful.
And I'm hoping if we get enough work and get paid from the work early enough in the winter,
naturally,
that I can get a good load of lumber up here in the wintertime And
on
then
on the
this
road?
summer, yeah, on the winter road.
Okay.
And then this summer when we have, well, not that we have much downtime, but
Yeah, 4-6 in the morning.
yeah, exactly. Dedicate a weekend or two and just put together the addition once the house is in place, and just start working on it. Try to get the addition done, all the outside exterior work, and then
Before
in
the winter, and
next winter have heat, and then
Yeah.
do the inside, and then by springtime,
it'll be
ready to
magical
move in, right?
That's so cool.
And take our time.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
rushed into our house. We literally moved down the street, like 3-4 houses down from our old house to our new house.
Yeah.
And it was trailer load after trailer load after trailer load of stuff. And it was just such a rush to get into our house because we was like, the baby's here. We just wanted our own place, that kind of stuff.
Time anyways.
It is.
Yeah.
And it didn't help because it was like, okay, we got our house. Well, let's paint the whole house. Okay.
And all your
move
shit
everything. Yeah. Move everything from one room to the next. And
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like, it was fun because, baby's little, that kind of stuff. So it wasn't so bad, but it was just like I said, I needed a couple more weeks to get everything ready. If I would have had 2 more weeks, it would have been take our time, move over, that kind of stuff. But it was just like, I wanted my own place for the baby, for the dogs, everything set up.
Makes sense.
And I just wanted to get it done, and we got it done, and it was nice. It was so peaceful, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wicked. It's gonna be such a cool. It'd be so cool to have your spot there because you guys have the river view. Like,
exactly. We cleared out the spot across the river. I got the trees all cut. It's nice and fire smart.
It's a great advertisement too.
It is, and it's gonna look good. We're gonna bring that place over, do the addition, do re-siding on it.
Yeah.
Save up so I can get some of that fake stone stuff, which is really well insulated.
Yeah.
Spend the time on that. I'd like to get solar panels up in that
You're
area.
gonna heat it with wood.
And it's got a wood stove.
There you go.
So now that means we got to get more wood than we get for our customers, but it's save on the cost of the fuel and stuff like that. And it's got a furnace, so you got that as a backup.
Totally.
But I'm excited for that too because it's just
we went all in on wood this year, like all in, and we've only used like 1/7 of a tank of diesel this winter.
It's a money saver, man.
Oh my god!
Definitely.
Every time I hear the furnace turn on, when I was living in Sacho before, I think actually a really similar model of house to the one you guys have.
Yeah.
Every time I heard the furnace turn on, I was just mad.
Right.
But I wasn't even working at that time too, which was like the worst because we had just moved here.
With those places, I got 2, one for upstairs, one for downstairs.
Ours only had 1.
Lucky. Most of the time we turn off the upstairs one because it gets hot enough with just the heat just going up.
So what I did is I sealed off all the vents upstairs, and just the
rising heat.
Just the rising heat. I was like, it was the best thing we ever did in that house because it was way too hot upstairs and way too, well, not way too cold, but like it was just chilly downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, man. That was awesome. It was an hour.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
If you're watching this episode and you need landscaping services or basically anything done that Drayton can get done for you, I'm sure you should reach out. You want to do a little plug? How should people reach out to you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, most people in town, they got my number or Facebook or whatever, but we do lots of odd jobs around town. Landscaping is obviously our number one thing. That's mostly for our summer, but we do snow clearing, shoveling, firewood delivery, like we've been talking about, that kind of stuff. And just like, the odd jobs of like, hey, we need this big couch moved or furniture or something like that. We get lots of calls like that. So my number's welcome to the public, 867-446-4023 for Ditchers Landscaping. Anytime, anything. Give us a call. We'll try to help you out.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man. It's
Thank
a pleasure.
You.